Hey guys, and welcome back to Dragon Age Inquisition. We're about ready to go to the last, final, most difficult, and I don't know, potentially large zone. I actually don't know how big it is, but I know it's difficult. It's the highest level area, and it's got, I think, at least 3 dragons in it. So I figure this is more than any time. This is probably since I'm going to do this area and then follow that up by doing the last missions in the story. This is probably the most logical time for me to go into crafting and use all those items I've been stockpiling to make the best items for my characters, even though we haven't necessarily been having difficulty. It just seems silly to ignore it. And so this will be a chunk of time where, because multiple people have complained that we don't get enough view of crafting in this series. Well, you're going to get to see it in this episode. This will be interesting to edit. Just for a second here, though, I did upgrade my potions off camera. Kind of forgot to record, so my healing potions themselves have maximum healing. That's actually probably been true for a while. My regeneration potions, my second most used potion, increased duration by 8 seconds, 10 seconds, increased healing by 3 and 4 per second. Life ward, so it heals even better when someone's low on health, and heals nearby allies for the same amount. I'm pretty psyched about that one in particular. So if I use these regeneration potions on my party, it's going to heal other allies. That's some cool synergy there. I don't really use that many other potions in this game, but in particular there's 2 grenades, and Tevan Fire is one I often use. So I increased its damage, increased the duration of the burning by 30 seconds twice. If that's true, then I think it might have started at 30 seconds, so that means it might burn for like a solid 90 seconds, which is crazy. Well, that's probably a good way of offsetting the fact that its damage is probably relatively low now compared to how valuable it was when I first got it. The last ability is Shockwave, and I don't have enough Felandaris to unlock that, which will create an AoE stun when I first throw the spell. And 5 seconds of stun is probably pretty good, but I need Felandaris, which I'm not sure if I've even seen that herb before. Also, there's Jar of Bees, which is something that I was taught how to make by Sarah. So increased panic chance by 10% twice, increased duration by 5 seconds twice, and you can add wasps later if I get some Felandaris. The swarm of bees splits off to attack the first enemy that comes near the original target, and both targets suffer this full effect of the swarm. This is a crowd control device, because it's a group of damaging bees that jump from target to target and make them panic, which can be handy. I also noticed I have a quest for this area, pretty much the only thing in Skyhold. Fragment of inadequate chainmail. I'll be honest, I don't actually remember when I got this. A questionable item was recovered that bears the lingering of an unfortunate enchantment. Dagna may be able to make something of it, although this is probably not a good idea. Give the inadequate chain of mail to Dagna. Oh, hell yeah, I'll give it to Dagna. Let's see what the hell is going to happen. Hello, Dagna. We haven't really spoken much.
You were there. I have to know what it was like. The colors, the smells, the magic. I'm sorry, it's just so exciting. You went into the Fade. If you have time, Inquisitor, do tell.
You seemed excited that I fell into the Faded Adamant.
Excited? Spring gets me excited. This is a wonder. It's probably hard to relate, but dwarves don't dream, so I can't even guess what it's like. I can't even understand what dreams are. But you were there, and came back. Can I take a sample?
A sample?
Oh, that sounded sinister. I meant, can I cut a little piece off of you and do things to it? That didn't sound better, did it?
You'll have a full report of everything I saw. Will that do?
It's a start. I'm sorry, it's just... this is exciting. It all is. Your people cleaned you up after your fall. I wonder if anything is left. So much to think about.
The Anarchists and the Fade operation available. Oh wow, there's still more to find around here. Maybe that's the report we're talking about. I admit, I kind of overlooked the idea of talking to some of these characters just because there's so many people in the you have 10 there's your character, you have 9 party members, 3, and then when you had Morgan, 4 sort of council people, I suppose, or advisors. And then you have like another 10 to 20 to 30 or who knows how many just random NPCs that you add over time. It's difficult to keep track of this all.
The Temple of Mythal sounds like the most interesting place. I hope you brought back samples of, well, anything.
You seemed impressed by the anchor. What does it look like to you?
I heard what everyone says what you heard Coryphia say. That's a long chain of who said what's. To me, it says key. But keys do a lot of things. Open, lock, switch. Some open one thing, some open everything. It sounds like Corypheus made it to open, but it looks like you can use it to close. It may be that simple. It sure is pretty. Wish I could see through it.
Had any luck making something useful with the things I've discovered?
I can put anything to use, but I'm not sure ruins are the best place to find successful applications of magic. But you never know. Give this one a go.
Dagna, show me what you can do.
Do you want fire? The first ask is always fire. It's fire, isn't it? Here's how it goes. Bring me the rare stuff for enchanting or masterworks and prep it here, just like normal. Except it's not normal. It's manipulation of primal forces, and I'll make sure it goes just right. You'll see. They'll all see.
Yeah, that wasn't ominous. Not even a little bit ominous. Alright, so we completed that quest. We didn't actually craft anything, though. Oh, right, because I have to use items to talk to people.
Mind your step for things, Inquisitor.
I'll see you later, Dagna.
I can't wait.
Alright, before we proceed, I think I'm actually going to go and take a look at that war table mission that popped up. Draw out the Red Templar Lieutenant. An urgent dispatch from the Emerald Graves. Inquisitor, the Red Templar Lieutenant has agreed to a rendezvous at the Lion's Pavilion. He will not remain long. Make haste. Weaver. So it looks like we're actually going to have a fight. So actually, no matter how much I say I'm going to go to the new zone, we keep getting excuses to go back to the Emerald Graves. Go figure. I'll check that out soon, but first, where's my new mission? Here we go. The Anarchist and the Fade. A report for an Anarchist Dagna's hand. An official request made officially. The Inquisitor has suffered exposure to the tears of the Veil and the energy of the Fade. To properly help him endure these forces, I need to understand them. I need samples. I need remnants. I need to see. If it pleases, I request the resources for a grand experiment to peer through the veil. Or as far as I can. It's an expensive investment, I know, and it's not necessary. But it's necessary. I'm fucking this all up. And it's only fair. I need to see. I wrote that twice. It's important to me. Anarchist Dagna. Sketch below, flowers and fire. So what? It's almost like talking about like the Inquisitor's been working with a lot of nuclear bombs lately, and we should really investigate whether or not he's gonna get cancer. Josephine, remnants are easy enough. I shall pull the powers we have. Is it supposed to say pool or pull? Oh well. I shall pull the powers we have established in your wake. Liliana, she'll have what she needs. I expect it would be difficult to keep it from her. Cullen, I'll have the battlefield scoured for samples. That's as close as I would dare with her. I'm just gonna have Liliana do it. She's like, yeah, we'll just give it to her.
Inquisitor.
I'm sure we can work with this person, right? It's great to put trust in people that could just randomly betray you. It's my favorite. So while we're here, let's look into crafting some armor and weapons. What I'm particularly curious about is that Vasti has a terrible helm. So let's see. I wonder if I can make something for him. Let's see. We have mage headgear, rogue, mage, warrior, mage, rogue, warrior. These weapons, ooh. That scout hat show up as face stuff on my character? I don't know. No, these have to be for elves, right? See, my concern here is I want to make gear for my... First of all, his face looks freaky right now. I want to make gear for Vasti, but I don't know if I can craft face equipment for him. These all seem like they'd be generic stuff for anybody type things. So not stuff I want to really necessarily go into right now. So, let's look for heavy armor then. We have the Legion of the Dead armor, but this, I believe, is... doesn't Legion of the Dead specifically require that you're a dwarf? Or am I wrong? A slight problem here is the fact that this is an issue I have with crafting, and it's part of why I don't do it on camera generally, is because it's kind of trial and error. There's just so much information here that I don't really have. Like, for example, Legion of the Dead armor, isn't that dwarf only? So why doesn't it say, like, that it's dwarf equipment anywhere on the screen, for example? So what I'm going to do is, before I do anything, I'm going to make a new save, and just give that, there we go. So, now if I make any mistakes, I can just undo them. So let's look into potentially... oh, we have dwarf trained only. Okay, so much for that. So the next thing down below that is battlefield master male. So I could just make something for shits and giggles right here and just see what happens. Let's see. Extra damage for each enemy within 8 meters. That'd be a decent thing to have. Interestingly, Fade Touch Bloodstone, but they're 2 different bloodstones. This one does a chance to use Unbowed and a chance this gives you bonus damage per each enemy. So what interests me the most is the idea, particularly of getting... I would like to get... Oh, increased stamina, that's not terrible. I would like to do, if I can... Yep, guard on hit. So there's 3. Is there anyone else... Oh, what's that? 10% chance of granting 3 seconds of Walking Fortress. That's also a good idea, because it's invincibility. But although it's inconsistent, because it's a chance of happening. I'm probably going to do guard on hit, because if I can have ridiculous guard on hit every single time... That could be freaking badass, right? So, 3 hit on guard. What kind of access do I have here? So its armor range is 194 to 280. So I can do anywhere as high as 280. So anything less would be kind of a waste. So Dragon Bone. I could do this, but it would use up basically all of my Dragon Bone. But it would make my main character hilariously difficult to kill, which could also be fun. Which might be what I go for. Part of me is really uncertain about using any resources here, because I'm thinking in terms of like, but what if it could have been used better in some way? But also, I'm doing so well lately, I don't know if I necessarily need to min-max. I think just crafting something in general and just improving myself is good enough in its own. So I can do a lot of elemental resistances, or I can do ranged. Generally, what I'd like to do is get melee defense if I can, which did not seem to be an option. Bleed on being hit. I heard bleed effects don't actually work, so I probably won't bother with that. So what I'm probably going to go with is ranged defense. I like those big flat percentages of defense. So there's 7%. I like having big flat resistances to that kind of stuff because, I mean, you get hit by a lot of ranged attacks. They're dangerous. So being able to just flat resist is good. 7's the highest I saw. So lurker scales, that'll use like half of them. It's crazy. I haven't crafted anything in such a long time, and here I am, genuinely. I'm immediately running into issues of like, wow, I'm already running out of all my resources that I've been farming all game. This is probably because I'm crafting like the most expensive possible thing. It'd be really unfortunate to find out accidentally that this is like something I can't wear. So I get maximum hit points. Maximum hit points is not a bad move, but I'd rather go for something more, like melee defense, for example. So 6%, 7% stagger on being hit's not terrible. 7% melee defense, I might go for that. Just a flat amount of resistance to... Wow. Yeah, that'll use 4 of your 226 resources. So yeah, I like the idea of having melee and ranged defenses, because that's just... So guard on hit, tons of armor, and then defense against melee and range. Like, those are just good things to have, just for general resilience. We have a heal bonus. We have magic defense. That would definitely complete my hat trick of just let's be resistant to everything. I'm sure someone's screaming at the screen now because, like, yeah, I was on the subreddit and it was proved mathematically that this is the best possible option you could pick, and if you pick anything else, you're a stupid head. I don't like the idea of doing heal bonuses, because healing is only happening sometimes. Because if there was a dedicated healer in this game, which obviously there isn't, like Wynn is in my Dragon Age Inquisition, Dragon Age Origins playthrough, I'd probably go for that, because having bonus healing on your tank is handy. So, 280 armor rating, 7% resist all, and 3 guard on hit seems like a pretty strong thing to have on your badass Qunari. I'm gonna call it, there we go. If it's gonna be my big, scary, late-game gear, let's give it names, because I haven't been doing that all game. Might be a better name for a melee weapon, but whatever. So... moment of truth is, let's actually compare it to what he's currently wearing, and then be like, oh, I made something worse. Time to load that save, because that was pointless. Nope! It has 100 more armor! So, I'm losing half my range defense and 60 maximum health, but I'm gaining 3 guard on hit and 100 armor. That's terrifying. Vasti was already impossible to kill, and now he's becoming even harder to kill. And here's where the fun part comes in, because my previous armor, the Battlemaster armor I was using, had stuff in it. So I can just put that stuff in now. So I can go for, what's this? 7 melee defense, more health. Yeah, there's the crazy one I had. 60% maximum health, 14% range defense. There we go. Now he's terrifying. And then this is 7% magic defense. I could potentially craft better stuff, but this stuff's swappable anyway, so... Now this gear has 14% magic defense, 21% range defense, 7% melee defense, 60 maximum health, and 3 guard, and an impossible amount of armor. So Vasti, the borderline unkillable, is now more unkillable. So, I'm going to go ahead and, because I made a new save, I'm going to go ahead and save over that save because I'm happy with my changes. But, at any point I can revert to the save that I made, because there's a save I'm doing for the crafting. I go back to the old save if at any point I decide that I've made a mistake, which could totally happen at some point. So, Vasti's armor's strong now. What I'm curious about is, he has a badass weapon. Is it possible to make a more badass weapon than this? Song of the Marshes. About 300 damage. It has bonus damage against dragons, but that's because I put a dragon slaying rune in it. I think I put that in. I don't think it was already there. It has crit bonus, bonus strength, and a chance to apply poison. So, 171 damage, one-handed weapon. Although, granted, it's entirely possible I could switch to two-handed weapons on this character, for all I know. And it probably wouldn't... No, I don't want to do that because I like having Shield Bash, honestly. Shield Bash is like my most damaging attack. So, we'll go to one-handed weapons. We have the one-handed Wave Blade, 163 damage, 184 damage. Okay, let's just remind myself really quick. This is a 300 damage weapon, right? It is. It does like 300 damage. So... do my schematics suck this bad? Because I've been collecting hells of schematics. Yeah. You go to upgrade. So none of the schematics I have right now. It's possible I could go into a store somewhere and find something better, but I think I'm going to stick with my one-handed weapon. I think it looks like the replacements I could get aren't actually much better. By the way, I'm not going to sit here and craft items for all 10 characters in my party. I'm going to go for my power group, which I think I currently consider to be Solus, Vivian, Sarah, and Vasti, because Vasti obviously is always there. So his shield, Dirthaman's Wisdom, with 17 armor, it's not a very good shield for shield purposes, but it gives me 5% extra damage for every enemy within 8 meters, which is scary, because I have a very high damaging weapon, so that's not bad. Constitution, melee defense, strength. So not really major stats in any way, besides... So the main things to keep in mind is that it has 17 armor and 5 damage for every enemy nearby. Because it's entirely possible I could craft a more powerful shield. That looks like a powerful shield. It also looks fucking awesome, by the way. Is it class specific? No, yeah, I mean, what I meant is it race specific. It is class specific. Polished shield. So the polished shield and sentinel shield, these both have the same... They both have the same defense stat, but I'm noticing the one on the left in particular has a, the one on the left uses 2 more, this polished shield uses leather, while this one only uses metal, and the utility slot goes from 8 to 10, so it could potentially get higher numbers there. I'm curious. Alright, so what kind of effects can we have on a shield? We have chance of masterwork, chance of unbowed on a hit, which could be cool. Unbowed is an I think it's an AoE aggro ability that gives you bonus armor for every nearby enemy. So it's a lot like Warcry basically, or at least for the reasons I use it for, which I might go with because that's a handy thing to have. Bonus damage if you haven't been hit recently. That'd be good to give to Sarah because she tends to be far away from the fight, but not for Vasti. Let's see here. Mind Blast would be the dumbest thing to give him because it would reduce his aggro. Berserk. By the way, this episode might be 100% crafting. It might include me going to the Emerald Graves to fight that dude that I lured out. But people have been asking for crafting, so we might get a whole episode of me doing crafting. Bonus stamina could be good, but I think I'm gonna go with I think I heal 15% damage taken over 10 seconds. That could be good too, because I'm constantly healing over time. But I don't necessarily take real damage either. I think I'm gonna go for wasn't there a chance of getting Walking Fortress. 10% chance to grant 3 seconds of Walking Fortress. That sounds pretty freaking awesome because it's temporary invincibility on top of the fact that I can use that ability itself. And I think that might outdo the benefits of being able to do another gain guard on hit, because I already have gain guard on hit to some extent. So increasing it would be not bad. Would not be bad, but I think a chance of doing walking fortress, pretty fucking cool. So what kind of stats can we have here? So 29 to 48 armor. So this is what's going to affect its armor. So I need to look for something that does 48, such as Dragon Bone. Is that going to be my only option? Because that'll be kind of a bummer. But if anyone in my party is going to get the maximum amount of armor, it's going to be my tank. So it makes sense to give it to him. All right, let's go with. I guess we'll go with Dragon Bone. A Dragon Bone, like elven-looking crazy shield. I'll be very mad if it doesn't say elf required, but then I craft it and it suddenly says elf required. I was playing Diablo 3 recently, and I crafted a legendary piece of equipment, and after I crafted it, it said barbarian only when I'm a crusader, and I'm like, that would have been good information when I was crafting it, which you did not tell me. I checked very closely. So I can go for bonus health, but I don't necessarily like bonus health that much because I've tried to focus on having my guard up so I don't have to take health damage so much. So going for additional percentages of, for example, melee defense would be something that I'd be more happy with, which I probably will go with. So 7% melee defense. Just make me input. Now, Constitution is more interesting because Constitution affects more than one stat, so that's more compelling than just flat health. Bonus Strength would make you do more damage. So Dragon Bone would do Constitution and Strength, which is pretty scary, but I'd need 10 of it, which is pretty crazy. Or I could go for like 18 Strength, which is not a bad idea to me. I might go for that huge amount of Strength as my option unless I see something better. This is like having 18 Strength. It's 8 Constitution, 10 Strength. That'd be a good mix for my tank character to keep them alive. So I might actually go for. I think I'm gonna go for the mix. Let's go for the Silverite. So this shield has 8 Constitution, 7% melee defense, 10 Strength, and 48 armor, and a 10% chance to grant Walking Fortress. So I'm losing my damage bonus for fighting a lot of enemies at once, but I'm gaining a significant boost of armor and a chance of becoming invincible on a regular basis. So I think it's worthwhile. What do I call this? I went with the Inquisitor's Keystone. I'm kind of happy with that name. Because Vasti, I mean, we keep stressing the fact that if Vasti dies, everyone's fucked. We saw the future where that happens, just to cement it, but also, like, he's the only one with the anchor. It might literally be impossible to close rifts without him, for all we know. And so he's the chosen one, or so to speak. And so having the shield, this symbolizes everything that keeps him alive. So the Inquisitor's Keystone, because the Inquisitor himself is the keystone of the Inquisition, and this is his keystone. Or at least that's how I'm justifying my own dumb naming schemes. Alright. So now we have some cool, crazy equipment to put on this character. So we'll go with, see. So Drotherman's Wisdom, switch to Keystone. I'll go ahead and give the Drotherman's Wisdom to, Cassandra has the cool Mage Hunter shield, so I'll give it to Blackwall, probably. Who probably has something less cool than Drotherman's Wisdom, or maybe not. Yeah, he has a guard on hit shield. And he's probably not much of a damage dealer, so I probably don't want to give him the extra damage for each enemy. I'll just hold on to Drotherman's Wisdom for now. We'll go back to Vasti. Did I already equip his new armor? I think I may have. It looks crazy. Yep, Vasti's Ultimatum. The fucking Keen Poison Spider Ventar. Only 8. It's 14 damage, 8% crit. Not a great piece of equipment. It's even white quality. Like, it's not. There's nothing particularly good about it. It's just the best white quality helm I've found so far. I need to track down whether or not there's a way to craft Vitars for Qunari, because I've not found better ones, unfortunately. So next up, who do I want to upgrade next? It might be fun to upgrade the maybe find upgrades for Sarah. She was. I went past her by now for sure. There we go. So I think she's already using a crafted piece of equipment, but it's old at this point, I think. So this is the 176 DPS bow, bonus attack, bonus crit, cunning dexterity, and hit on guard. To be fair, some of those stats come from her agile superb grip. But let's see if I can. It says it has 146 damage. Let's see if I'm able to craft bows that do more than that. Oh, spiked longbow. That's definitely 100 more than they gave me. But do I have? So it's 165 cap. But can I actually get that high? Okay, that dragon boat says 172. So that's lying to me. Right out the bat, I'm like, that's a higher number than you said it could be. Okay, so let's... Maybe they're just acknowledging... Oh, maybe they mean that's the highest number I can get, because I already used up my Dragon Bone. So maybe they mean 165 is as high as I can get. So let's see. So 165? Everite. Okay. Yeah, so it's 146 damage. So is that just the same amount of damage she already does? It might be. I may have not actually gotten the ability to craft better bows than she already has. If so, I'll just move on. Because she has a pretty kick-ass bow, and she could just keep it. Oh. Let's look at it. 146 damage. Okay. Yeah, so she does not need a replacement. Let's look into Vivian. You see, Vivian is interesting because she kind of has to go into melee range, so maybe I should look into whether or not I can make her better equipment. Granted, she has this scary equipment right here, In War, Victory, which is a piece of equipment I got from... I don't remember. You guys might remember. But it's one of those 3 parts of equipment where we found 1 cloth item, 1 leather item, and 1 heavy item, which are the 3 lines of the Grey Warden chant, and this was one of them. 145 armor rating, bonus to stagger melee. Melee defense is 25% is basically the main thing it does. A little bit of stagger, but 2 things to keep in mind is 145 armor rating, 25% melee defense. You can use it at level 11, which makes me suspect that I can make something better. So let's find out. 145 equipment for a light. Oh, wrong. I'm at the wrong stand. Interesting for a light armor. 218. Okay. Can I switch characters so I can... Okay. I can switch characters so I can at least see the person that I'm crafting it for and what it looked like on them instead of Vasti, who can't even wear this type of equipment as far as I know. Oh, formal attire. Oh, that's interesting. I might go for that kind of thing just because how fitting would it be to make a formal attire set for Vivian as the Orlesian character, even if this one... Oh, wow, that definitely fits her usual style, though. But the Battle Mage code is less thematically resonant, but it would be... I don't know. First of all, I'm curious about how the stats might vary there. So, before I look at anything else, let's see what changes here. It goes metal, leather, metal, cloth, cloth, leather. So all of them are different. They both have leather, but the leather moves slots. So let's look at defense, utility. Let's look at utility specifically and see what kind of stuff's offered there. So leather gives you dexterity and cunning and rogue type item stats. That makes sense. And those could be useful stats, because it could give me crit chance and things like that while I'm in melee range. Although it is a weird stat for a mage to have. That said, 2 cloth slots means I can get a lot of... I could potentially... Is it just defensive? Oh, it's just elemental? Could still be handy. Having a large amount of elemental resistance could potentially be useful. Or just magic defense in general. Looks like it changes her color, too. Let's see. Magic defense... Yeah, pretty straightforward. So they're all elemental type resistances, as opposed to what we'll find elsewhere when I go to the other one, where that metal... See, metal... It's metal utility and metal defense. So what does metal defense give me? Health, stagger on a hit. If I get guard on hit, that would definitely make me interested, but I don't think that's an option. As a matter of fact, what can I get for this masterwork? Can I get guard on hit on my melee mage? Because that would certainly be compelling. Let's see here. On hit, 3 guard. See, I might go for something like that for Vivian. Because that could be interesting. I think I'm gonna go specifically for the cloth one, just because it seems like more... It strikes me as more of a, a mage piece of equipment to go for the one that's made out of cloth. I think I'm gonna go for guard on hit, which will increase the number of people I have that have guard on hit to being basically everyone in the party who isn't, who is not Solus. This will probably be my big finale group for beating the game with, because you have to focus resistance on someone. So 218 armor rating is my cap, and you get it from dragon webbing. So that's the dragon item that's built for casters. I might go for it. 218 is a scary number. Do I just commit to it? What I'm curious about is whether or not dragon webbing is really strong for this. Let's see, dragon webbing gives me 16 fire resist. So not super cool, just a specific element of resistance. So I'm going to go for the high armor instead, because she's going to be in melee range as who she is, so that'll be interesting. Oh, she's glowing bright orange. Well, she's going to stand out. Okay, so heal bonus, magic defense. I'm probably going to go for magic defense. Because my interpretation is that magic defense is like having an elemental resistance, but it's for all elements. Granted, there also is... You can also take elemental damage without it being magic sometimes, but I'm going to go for... I think I'm going to go for a high magic defense over specializing in specific elements, because you can't plan ahead that way. Is 7 magic defense the highest I can get? I think it is. Alright. Just going to use this wool over here. Oh, wait. Where does it affect the appearance of something? I don't see it affecting the appearance of anything. I don't think this one affects it so much. Okay. But the other one did, because it made my... Yeah, it makes the chest piece change color. So I can make myself go from magic all the way up to 18 magic defense if I use this one, which takes me from 7 to 18. Which is it increasing it by more? Oh yeah, because there's 6 slots on this spot. Interesting. So I can go all the way up to 18 magic defense and have this nice blue color. I'll become a Halo game, or most AAA video games at this point with their orange and light blue color contrast. Be kind of funny. Or I could go for really in deep for certain elements if I want to, such as 21 electrical resistance, which could be cool if that specific element shows up, but there's not a lot of ways of knowing how important that one will be. Here's another 18 magic defense, but it's sort of silvery instead of blue. I honestly kind of like the blue, but the gray does fit with the color scheme a little bit better. But I think I might go for the blue. It's less blue than I originally thought. Okay, yeah, I'll stick with it. So a high amount of magic defense, a high amount of armor, and what can I get out of our last slot? Right, this is our weirdly defensive stat. So there's a good chance, oh, not this one, not dragon scales. That'd be silly use of resources. But I'll probably go for a high cunning, because cunning is a good stat for everybody, because it increases your crit chance, which is just a good thing to have. Can I get 7 cunning out of anything? I can't get 7 cunning out of anything I currently have in stock, so I'm gonna go for a rough hide for 6. It's about as best as I can get. I'm gonna have to come up with a name for this. Pride of Vivian seems pretty straightforward. She's nothing if not prideful. And it makes sense to start naming items after some of the characters, because now they're legendary. They're saving the world. They're gonna be talked about in future games in some context. So it's good to have. It makes sense that at some point stuff would just start being named after them. And if anyone's gonna name something after themselves, it's probably gonna be Vivian. That'll be a nice change in appearance for her. Let's go ahead and put that on. And at any point I could just undo these mistakes by loading an old save, but I think I'll just commit with it, because I think I probably could have beaten the game without crafting new equipment, so even if I make decisions that could have been improved upon in some way, I think it's not necessarily a loss. So, I'm going for magic and cunning over melee defense, but I gain about 70 to 80 armor rating, which is also a pretty big improvement. And she gets to have a piece of equipment named after herself, which is neato. I'm looking at Solus, and he has Robes of the High Keeper, which gives him bonus focus for nearby enemies, a very high range defense, bonus magic, and more than anything, I kind of want to keep it around. He's also got the Helm of the Inquisitor, which, just because I kind of got that, and even though it's called the Helm of the Inquisitor, I can't equip it on my main character because he's a Qunari. Whoops. But I like the idea of him staying in this Keeper robes for the rest of the game, just because it's cool as a sort of Dalish elf type to actually be wearing this kind of equipment. So instead of upgrading his armor, I'm more interested in upgrading his weapon. So what do we have here? We have Tempest. It has it does 50 cold damage, has a slot for a rune, which in this case is 10 spirit damage, but it could be replaced with something else. The new one could get something else, because the new staff will probably also have its own slot. Constitution, crit chance, heal on kill, magic and whoop. So not really. We have minor stats across the board, not anything super important. Main deal is that it's a 50 damage staff. I can probably beat that, right? Give my favorite companion character in the game a better piece of equipment here. Let's look at our staffs. So highest damage staff we can do is 71 DPS, and it drops off. Oh, it drops off really quickly because I don't even have any more staff things to make. So 71 DPS versus, just to remind myself. What was Solus's at again? I can't believe I forgot already. I might be stupid, you guys. I don't want to alarm anybody. Versus 97 DPS. Well, turns out the stuff I can craft right now is crap. So I might want to go to a store and see if I can buy higher level recipes. Just out of curiosity, though, I'm wondering, what do you get for your? Does this always do the same stuff? It looks like it does. Okay, I was curious. Because it might be good to give him some, if I give him guard on hit, then the entire party is getting guard on hit, which would be pretty cool. Although I can't do 3, I'd only be down to 2, unfortunately, which is a downgrade. I think I'm going to take a look around at some stores, though, and see if I can buy a higher tier... If I could... this is only a tier 2 recipe, so maybe I can maybe I can buy a tier 3 recipe somewhere? Similarly... Okay, oh, this bow schematic. That's why Sarah's so strong. Her bow is a tier 3 bow. Alright, I'm going to take a look around for a tier 3 schematic for a staff. So for the record, Vasti has 25% melee magic defense, 80% melee defense, 37% range defense. That is a lot of melee defense. He also has a 4 fire, 20 spirit, 20 cold because of the that temple we've been going to open doors at, which does not have... There's no electrical branch for that one, unfortunately. But he's scary. He a scary man. So the reason why we're here is because I figured we're going to leave town anyway to go check out recipes. Why not give some of these new pieces of equipment we have a test run, since we have this Puppet Master quest here? A Puppet Master. Inquisition agents have lured Carol, the Red Templar responsible for manipulating the Freemen of the Dales, to the Lion's Pavilion in the Emerald Graves. It's time to finish this. Defeat Carol. That's from us going through the area. We wiped out most of the opposition, but the guy that's more or less running the whole thing was never found. And then we did a war table mission to resolve that. And apparently, freaking Solus took some bad damage already. Stop it, Solus, you silly boy. So, let's have some fun and see how our armor bonuses on Vivian and Vasti play out here. This could be some fun. I also want to see if she's gonna build... I wonder if she's gonna build guard when I hit her with people with anything, or only if I hit them with melee attacks. We'll just have to find out. So, everyone bubble. And let's get in on the action. So, they're level 19 Red Templars. There's 2 marksmen upstairs, 2 melee guys downstairs. And I assume that's Carol up there being really, really corrupted by lyrium. Let's get in on the fun. Okay. I need to remind myself really quick, actually. Oh, I can't look at it anyway. I'm like, do I have guard on... Oh yeah, I do have guard on hit. I can see it generating right now. So let's make a big old mess of things. So, let's see if it... Yep, it looks like I get guard on hit when I'm hitting people with my melee attack. So that's terrifying for this character. Gonna go ahead and do a little bit of healing because they managed to get past my guard. But yeah, you thought Vivian was scary before. She has self-maintaining bubble, and now she has guard on the hit. So she has an extra layer protecting her hit points underneath everything. If I can craft, if I can get a higher level staff, so that Solus also gets some guard on hit, then this is going to be a very hard party to kill, just in general. And I think that's just smart party design to get those kinds of things together for myself. All right, so these guys are being persistent, so I'm going to try to use a slow-mo spell. There we go. It'll take half of these shadows out of the fight for a little while, because shadows are pesky. These little bastards are just, they hit so hard and they can turn invisible. Here's Carol, he's half dead already. Just barely noticed he was here, but there he is. He was the big guy we saw in the background, and he came ahead and ran down here. Man, look at that. Just look at freaking Vivian right now. Oh, Carol's dead. Whoops. I was so focused on the fact that I have 3 full health bars of defenses on at once. Dear Lord. We're just gonna be a whole party of tanks. This game has some really interesting mechanics. Some of it played out in ways other than I expected. Broken filter. Is this Carol's body? Which one of these is Carol's body? Red Templar, foot, shoulder, pauldron. Oh, some upgrade items at least. Carol didn't... Unless I went too fast, I don't think Carol really dropped anything interesting, which is kind of a bummer. Broken filter. Oh, more upgrade items. Good to have. That wool in particular seems to be a high-level upgrade material. But I guess that's it. Someone has informed me that there's some kind of puzzle here. So if you have maybe a codex entry or something explains it, but I don't really feel like digging through all of them to figure out which one it might be. But there's some sort of clue about what order you light these things in if you want to solve that puzzle. But anyway, Carol is down. Big bad guy behind everything. Dumbass should not have been... I don't know why he even agreed to meet with me, but... Oh well. Congratulations, Emerald Graves. You're pretty much free. And it's like a full 2 episodes after I originally said that I'd be done with you. Oh well. So, look at all that... Yeah, look at all that guard on my screen. I need to get Solus a guard generating item, and then they'll all be unkillable. particularly great for Solus if I can get him a guard generating staff or something, just because he has a bad tendency to be totally healthy and fine, and then one rogue character shows up out of nowhere and one-shots him and he's down, and it's like, oh no, my bad. Alright, back to the search for schematics and then hopefully more crafting. My big final goal is a staff for Solus, and then I'd be pretty happy just continuing from there. I could obviously keep crafting, but I might wait and see what I get from killing dragons and stuff in that next area.
Strangest thing, when I reached down, my dagger was gone. Just gone. Know where I found it? In a barrel. The thing was filled to the brim with daggers. Got the strangest feeling. I know someone took it right off my belt, but I can't recall who.
Call Way of the Templar. From a treatise on lyrium and its varied forms, Sir's words make one passage stand out. The means and usage employed by the Templar are far stronger than even the draughts of Magi, and are of considerable danger to the uninitiated. It is not something that is introduced in gradual fashion. Rather, it is a great infusion that is daily held in check by ritual maintenance. An account. We entered the makeshift chantry, and my comrades to be were arranged as though in honor guard. The trainer waited to receive me. I was invited to pass among them, and it seemed important that each step be my will. Any reluctance would have signaled that I was not ready. They were boisterous and encouraging, slapping hands upon my shoulders as I passed. Upon reaching the trainer, he turned to me. Before him, as the boxed filter I had prepared, he nodded, as if to ask if I was ready, and I returned the gesture. His eyes were solemn as he raised a mailed hand. It was bathed in the shapeless glow of lyrium, far too strong, prepared in a way I did not know. The hands of my fellows, still on my shoulders, gently turned from welcome to restraint as my arms were made immobile at my sides. I felt a rising alarm, but my certainty beat it down, as it would many times in my career. The trainer pressed the glow against my chest, and in an instant all was pain and white. When next I had my senses, there was much camaraderie and rejoicing, but also knowing looks. Each day I felt a hunger deeper than I had ever known, and woe be me if it went unfed. I cannot imagine hearing it without the support of the order and my... I can't imagine bearing it without the support of the order and my certain purpose. Several instructions for handling lyrium follow. I found this because I was trying to find for sure where the hell... And I was having difficulty trying to figure out where I believe Cassandra sleeps, because I found like the way of the champion by going over to where Blackwall was, and I think this might be where... I think up here might be where Cassandra is located, like where she sleeps at night. It makes sense because it's inside the building and just upstairs from the area we always see her training. And I did this because you're able to craft the class-specific items of each of the subclasses you're able to choose from. I chose Champion already, but there's still requisitions here for them. So here, Templar Lyrium Filter. So I figured might as well craft it. The one thing I was missing was the fact that I couldn't find the way of the Templar, but I just found that finally. I have not been able to make the one for the Reaver because I haven't found the infusion primers yet. I need to find 3 of those. Let's go ahead and craft this and see what happens. Everything a Templar needs to craft their own infusions of lyrium, without which, of course, a Templar is left without any magical ability. It is said that over the years, a Templar develops an acute addiction to lyrium, to the point that depriving them of it can drive them mad. A risk not to be taken lightly, and none do. It would be interesting getting to play as a Templar at some point. I went with Champion, and I don't regret it, because it's definitely kicking ass, but I do get a little jealous of some of the moves that Cassandra has, and especially since she has her own AoE Dispel, which is neato. So I acquired a Templar Lyrium Filter. I don't actually know what purpose that serves, but I made it. Yeah, one thing out of the way. So I scoured Orlais, and I also looked at the various vendors in town here, and as far as I can tell, I don't have any I don't really have access to tier 3 schematics that I can tell. I might be able to buy them if I get enough influence and I level up the Inquisition again. I might be able to buy them because that's one of the options you see in town. But aside from that, I mean, at the war table, but aside from that, I don't know if I can get anything better. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to call it there, and we're going to go check out the new zone, and we'll see if I get cool schematics over the course of that so I can get Solus some cool new equipment.